I'd rather deliver 400 meaningful photos than deliver 1,000 unforgettable ones. Some photographers are coming home at the end of a wedding day with 6,000 plus photos to cull through. I don't. And honestly, I think overshooting is hurting the wedding photography industry. So what exactly do I mean when I say overshooting a wedding? What I'm talking about is constantly shooting on burst modes, on your constant high, constant low burst modes. Having 20 photos of essentially the exact same thing. Not being intentional in your photographing. Or having the I'll fix it later in post mentality. Instead of waiting for the moment or framing your composition correctly. More photos does not automatically mean better storytelling. Now here's why it is that I think some photographers overshoot weddings and even overshoot portrait sessions. It's that fear of missing certain moments, that lack of confidence, the social media pressure to over-deliver. It's the technology of digital cameras and being able to put it onto a burst mode and shoot it 15, 20, 30 frames, even up to 40 frames per second. And then some of it even comes down to just beginners relying on numbers than relying on waiting for the moment and intentionally shooting a photo. I do use burst mode when I'm shooting weddings, primarily during the first kiss, during a walk down the aisle, maybe during like a bouquet toss, something like that where I need to capture multiple frames. But for the most part, I'm intentionally shooting my photos. 90% of weddings kind of use the same timeline. So after you've done enough of them, you know where it is that you need to be able to capture certain moments of the wedding. So I will position myself and have my composition set up before I know that these certain moments are coming. That way, I'm not coming home with 6,000 to 8,000 photos that need to be culled through to be able to find the 400 or so that I want to deliver. I think that's another problem in the wedding industry is there's photographers out there who are way over delivering the amount of photos. Now, of course, it's completely up to you. If you want to deliver 2,000 photos to a client, then by all means, deliver 2,000 photos to a client. But in my experience, the couples would rather see 400 well-executed photos than 1,000 to 2,000 middle-of-the-road photos. That's why I always encourage new photographers to take their time, making sure their composition is correct. Wait for that moment to happen. Fire a few shots. That's not only going to help you when it comes to the editing part, but it's going to make you a much better photographer, allowing you to be more in the moment and more in tune with everything that's going on around you. Now, when you are able to become more in tune with the entire situation and take it all in, you'll be able to capture those more emotional shots. You'll be able to tell the story in a way that you weren't able to before. And as I said previously, most weddings kind of work on the same timeline. You start to learn when it is that certain people are going to have certain emotions or they're going to have certain facial expressions. And that's where you, as the photographer, need to know that I need to be in this spot, I need to be using this lens, and I need to be shooting over in this direction. And again, I see a lot of newer photographers wanting to be on those burst modes all the time and just kind of spraying and praying that they happen to capture something. Not only is that producing subpar photography, it's just creating a whole lot more work for that photographer. I could never imagine coming home with 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 photos that I then had to cull through to try to find the 400 shots that I actually want to deliver. Most of the time, I shoot between 1,500 to 2,000 photos, depending on how long I'm there. If I have a second shooter with me, we've got about 3,500 to maybe 4,000 photos. I'll cull those down usually to around 1,000 photos and then start selecting down until I get around 400, at tops 600. I'll deliver 600 photos if I'm shooting rehearsal dinners the day before. It's a 12-hour day of shooting, something like that. But for the most part, I try to keep it around 400 to 500 photos that I deliver to the couple. There's a lot of wedding photographers out there that would tell you that sweet spot seems to be around 350 to 450. After that, it's just overwhelming for somebody to look at a gallery that has 450 plus photos in it. I mean, imagine yourself trying to look at 600 photos of an 8-hour day. That's why I always try to tell people, make sure that you are getting those intentional shots. Don't just rely on burst modes and hoping that out of the 200 photos you just took, you've got at least one solid one in there. Now, I hope some of this information helps out anybody who's newer or looking to get into wedding photography. If it did, hit like, hit subscribe. I try to put out videos at least once a week when my schedule allows me to.